The notification chimed at 11:47 p.m. Working late, don't wait up. Big presentation tomorrow. I stared at Sarah's text, sitting in my garage with grease under my fingernails and doubt creeping up my spine like a cold draft. I typed back, "Hope you and Victor enjoy the presentation." 20 minutes later, I heard her key fumbling in the lock. Then silence. Then the sound of someone trying very hard not to make noise. "My name's Dave Mitchell, and I fix computers for a living. Not glamorous, but it pays the bills and keeps our 17-year-old daughter Emma in college prep classes." Sarah works at Henderson Associates, a mid-sized accounting firm downtown, where she's been climbing the corporate ladder with the determination of someone who married beneath her station. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. At least, that's what her brother Kevin never lets me forget. "Dave's a nice guy," Kevin would say at family gatherings, "but Sarah could have done so much better. Remember that lawyer she dated before you? Kevin owns 3 car dealerships and thinks his money makes him an expert on everyone else's life choices. He's the kind of guy who wears golf shirts to funerals and tips exactly 15% because service workers need to earn it." The trouble started 6 months ago at Sarah's birthday party. Kevin had been drinking and decided to share his thoughts about our marriage with anyone who'd listen. "Look at this house," he announced, gesturing at our modest 3-bedroom home. "Sarah's making $60,000 a year, and they're still living like college students. Dave, when are you going to step up and provide for my sister properly?" I'd been dealing with his comments for 12 years, but something about that night felt different. Maybe it was the way Sarah didn't defend me. Maybe it was the way our friends Mike and Jennifer Harrison nodded along like Kevin was making perfect sense. "Kevin," I said quietly, "maybe we should talk about this privately." "Why? Because you're embarrassed?" "You should be. Sarah deserves better than a guy who crawls under desks for a living." That's when I made my mistake. I stood up, looked Kevin in his smug face, and said, "At least I don't have to buy friends with fancy cars and fake smiles. When's the last time someone liked you for who you are instead of what you can do for them?" The room went dead silent. Kevin's face turned red, then purple. Sarah looked mortified. "How dare you talk to my brother like that?" she hissed. "Apologize. Right now." I looked around the room at people I'd considered friends for years. Mike Harrison, who I'd helped move 3 times. Jennifer, whose computer I'd fixed countless times for free. Sarah's coworker Janet, who always asked about Emma's soccer games. Nobody said a word in my defense. "No," I said. "I'm not apologizing for telling the truth." Sarah's eyes went cold. "Then maybe you should leave your own wife's birthday party." I left. But not before I heard Kevin say, "Don't worry, Sarah. You're finally seeing him for what he really is." The next week, Mike and Jennifer stopped returning my calls. Janet avoided eye contact when I picked Sarah up from work events. Our social circle, built over more than a decade, evaporated like morning dew. "You embarrassed me," Sarah said when I tried to talk about it. "Kevin's family. You attacked my family in front of our friends." "He's been attacking me for years. That's different. He's just looking out for me." The distance between us grew. Sarah started working later, attending more company events, spending weekends at team-building exercises I wasn't invited to. She bought new clothes, started going to the gym, changed her hair. And then Miguel called. Miguel Hernandez had been the night janitor at Henderson Associates for 15 years. I'd met him when I upgraded their server system 2 years ago. He was smart, observant, and had a photographic memory for office gossip. "Dave, my friend," he said that Thursday night, "I don't like to get involved, but you've always been good to me. Your wife and that Victor guy from management, they stay late every Thursday. Just the 2 of them. And Dave, they're not working on spreadsheets, if you understand me." Victor Kellerman. I knew him from company parties. Divorced, drove a leased BMW, wore expensive suits, and talked about his CrossFit routine to anyone who'd listen. The kind of guy who called women females and thought buying bottle service made him sophisticated. I sat in my garage for 2 hours after Miguel's call, staring at my toolbox and thinking about 12 years of marriage. Then I did something I'd never done before. I decided to fight back. The next Thursday, I drove to Sarah's office building. The parking garage was nearly empty except for 2 cars, Sarah's Honda and Victor's BMW. I waited in the shadows until 10:30 p.m., when they emerged from the elevator together. Victor had his hand on the small of Sarah's back. Sarah was laughing at something he'd said. They kissed by her car, not a friendly peck, a kiss that said this had been going on for a while. I drove home and waited. Sarah came in at 11:15, humming softly. "How was work?" I asked from the kitchen. "Exhausting. Victor and I had to finish the Morrison account presentation. Lost track of time. She was a good liar. I had to give her that. The confrontation with Mike and Jennifer happened the following Saturday. I'd gone to Murphy's bar downtown, hoping to drink away the images of my wife kissing another man. They were there with Kevin, holding court at a corner table. Mike saw me first. "Look what the cat dragged in." I should have left. Instead, I walked over. "Dave," Kevin said with fake enthusiasm, "how's the computer repair business? Still crawling around on your hands and knees?" "Kevin," I said evenly, "we need to talk." "About what? About how you disrespected my family?" Jennifer leaned forward. "Dave, you really hurt Sarah's feelings. We all saw how cruel you were to Kevin." "Cruel?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Let me tell you what's cruel. Cruel is spending 12 years listening to this jackass tear me down while my wife sits there and says nothing. Cruel is watching my friends choose sides without bothering to hear mine." Mike stood up. "Nobody chose sides, Dave. You showed your true colors, and we didn't like what we saw." "My true colors?" "Mike, I helped you move 3 times. I fixed your computer when you spilled coffee on it and couldn't afford repairs. Jennifer, I spent my weekend setting up your home network for free. But one time I stand up to Kevin's bullying, and suddenly I'm the bad guy." "That's different," Jennifer said. "That was friendship. This is about character." "Character?" The word came out like a bark. "You want to talk about character? Let me tell you about character. Kevin here has been tearing me down for 12 years, trying to convince my wife she married beneath her. And it worked. She's so convinced she can do better that she's been having an affair with some gym rat from her office." The table went silent. Kevin's face drained of color. "That's impossible," he said. "Sarah would never—" "Every Thursday night, Kevin. While I'm home helping Emma with homework, your perfect sister is getting busy with Victor Kellerman in empty conference rooms." Mike shook his head. "Even if that were true, it doesn't excuse how you treated Kevin." "Doesn't excuse—" I stopped and stared at him, really stared. "Mike, she's cheating on me. My wife is having an affair, and your response is that it doesn't excuse me being rude to her brother?" Jennifer crossed her arms. "Maybe if you'd been a better husband, she wouldn't have needed to look elsewhere." That's when something inside me broke. Not broke like shattered glass. Broke like a dam bursting, releasing 12 years of suppressed anger and humiliation. "You know what?" I said quietly. "You're right. I haven't been a good husband. A good husband would have told Kevin to go to hell years ago. A good husband wouldn't have let his friends treat him like a charity case. A good husband would have fought for his marriage instead of accepting scraps of affection and gratitude." I looked at each of them in turn. "But here's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to stop being the nice guy who takes everyone's crap with a smile. I'm going to stop fixing your problems for free while you talk behind my back. And Kevin, I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man your sister really married." Kevin stood up, his chest puffed out. "Are you threatening me?" "No, Kevin. I'm promising you. You wanted Sarah to see me for what I really am? Congratulations. You're about to get your wish." I left them sitting there and drove home to plan my revenge. The beauty of being an IT consultant is that people underestimate you. They see a guy with a toolbox and think blue-collar worker. They don't see someone who understands networks, security systems, and digital forensics. Miguel had mentioned that the office security cameras backed up to a local server. It took me 3 days to figure out how to access the footage remotely. What I found was 6 months of Thursday night encounters between my wife and Victor, documented in high-definition detail. I didn't just want to expose them. I wanted to destroy the narrative that I was the problem in our marriage. I started with social media. Anonymous accounts, carefully crafted posts in local Facebook groups about unprofessional behavior at Henderson Associates. Nothing specific enough to be actionable, just enough to plant seeds of doubt. Then I got creative. Victor's BMW was always parked in the same spot. I started leaving little gifts, printouts of marriage counseling articles tucked under his windshield wipers, brochures for STD testing taped to his driver's side window, a children's book about telling the truth left on his hood. Each gift included a note. "Thought you might need this. A concerned friend." Victor started looking over his shoulder in parking lots. Good. For Sarah, I took a different approach. I became the perfect husband. Flowers for no reason, surprise dinners, long conversations about our future together. I watched her guilt eat her alive as she tried to reconcile my sudden attentiveness with her Thursday night activities. "You're being weird," she said one evening. "Why are you trying so hard?" "Can't a man appreciate his wife?" I replied, kissing her forehead. "Kevin was right about one thing. You deserve better. I'm going to make sure you get it." The look of panic in her eyes was worth 12 years of humiliation. The final phase began 3 weeks later. I'd gathered enough evidence to end both their careers and destroy their reputations. But I wanted more than that. I wanted them to destroy themselves. I sent Kevin an anonymous package containing printed screenshots of the security footage, along with a note. Thought you should know what kind of woman your sister really is. Maybe she did marry beneath her after all. Kevin confronted Sarah that same day. I know because Miguel heard the screaming match in her office. Sarah accused Kevin of hiring a private investigator. Kevin accused Sarah of destroying her marriage and embarrassing the family. Victor tried to intervene and ended up getting punched in the face by Kevin. The whole office heard everything. By the end of the week, Sarah had been suspended pending an internal investigation. Victor was fired for violating company policy regarding workplace relationships. Kevin was banned from the building after the assault. But I wasn't done. The final confrontation happened at Emma's school fundraiser 3 days later. Sarah had begged me not to go, claiming she was too embarrassed to show her face. I went anyway. Kevin was there, of course. He couldn't resist an opportunity to network and show off his wealth. He saw me across the gymnasium and made a beeline for my table. "You son of a bitch," he hissed. "You destroyed my sister's career." "No, Kevin. Your sister destroyed her own career. I just made sure people knew about it." "She made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes. A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk on the way home. An affair is a choice. 6 months of choices." Mike and Jennifer appeared at Kevin's shoulder, like backup singers in a very depressing concert. "Dave," Jennifer said, "this has gone too far. Sarah's reputation is ruined." "Good," I said. "She earned it." Mike leaned forward. "What happened to you? You used to be a decent guy." I stood up slowly, looking around at the crowd of parents and teachers who were starting to notice our heated conversation. "You want to know what happened to me, Mike? I'll tell you exactly what happened." I raised my voice just enough to carry to nearby tables. For 12 years, I let people walk all over me. I fixed their problems, listened to their complaints, and accepted their disrespect with a smile. I let Kevin here convince my wife that she married beneath her station. I let friends like you treat me like a charity case. And when my wife decided she could do better, I almost let her get away with it. The gymnasium was getting quieter as more people tuned in to our conversation. But then I realized something, I continued, my voice carrying clearly now. I wasn't the problem. The problem was that I surrounded myself with people who had no loyalty, no integrity, and no respect for the man who bent over backwards to help them. Kevin's face was bright red. "Shut up, Dave, right now." "Why?" "Because you're embarrassed. You should be. Your sister threw away a 12-year marriage for a few hours a week with a gym rat who got fired for sexual harassment. And you? You spent years tearing me down, trying to convince her she could do better. Congratulations, Kevin. You got what you wanted." I looked around the room at all the faces staring at us. Parents I'd known for years. Teachers who'd watched Emma grow up. Members of our community who were getting a front row seat to the collapse of my marriage. "Sarah Mitchell," I announced to the room. "My wife of 12 years has been having an affair with her coworker Victor Kellerman. They've been meeting every Thursday night for 6 months, using company property for their personal activities. Both of them have now lost their jobs, and Sarah has lost her marriage. Kevin Mitchell, her brother, encouraged this affair by spending years convincing Sarah that she deserved better than a hard-working husband who loved her." The silence was deafening. Kevin lunged for me, but Mike grabbed his arm. "Dave, stop this," Mike pleaded. "Why? Because it's embarrassing? Because it makes you uncomfortable? Where was this concern when Kevin was humiliating me at every family gathering? Where was this loyalty when Sarah was lying to my face every Thursday night?" I walked to the center of the gymnasium, where the microphone stood for the evening's presentations. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said into the microphone, my voice echoing through the speakers, "I want to thank you all for coming tonight to support our children's education. Education is important. It teaches us valuable lessons. Tonight, I learned that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you the most. I learned that loyalty is rare and precious, and I learned that standing up for yourself, even when it's uncomfortable, is the only way to maintain your dignity." I set the microphone down and walked toward the exit. Kevin, Mike, and Jennifer followed me to the parking lot. "You're insane," Kevin shouted. "You just humiliated yourself in front of the entire school." "No, Kevin. I just told the truth. There's a difference." "Sarah will never forgive you for this," Jennifer said. I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. "Jennifer, Sarah's been having an affair for 6 months. Her forgiveness isn't exactly high on my priority list." "This is all your fault," Mike said. "If you'd been a better husband—" "Stop." My voice cut through the night air like a blade. "Just stop. Sarah made her choices. Kevin made his, you made yours, and now I'm making mine." I got in my truck and rolled down the window. Kevin, your sister is going to need a place to stay. Her half of our assets won't cover much more than a studio apartment. Mike, Jennifer, don't call me when your computers break down again. I'll find someone else to fix your problems for free. I started the engine and looked at their stunned faces one more time. You all wanted me to show my true colors? Here they are. I'm done being everyone's doormat. I'm done accepting disrespect with a smile, and I'm done pretending that people who treat me like garbage deserve my friendship. As I drove away, I could see them in my rearview mirror, standing in the parking lot like they'd been struck by lightning. When I got home, Sarah was waiting in the kitchen, her face streaked with tears. The whole town knows, she whispered. Yes, they do. How could you do this to me, to Emma? I didn't do anything to you, Sarah. You did it to yourself. I just made sure people knew about it. I made a mistake. No, you made a choice. Every Thursday for 6 months, you chose Victor over our marriage. You chose Kevin's opinion over my feelings. You chose your career advancement over our family. Don't insult my intelligence by calling it a mistake. She collapsed into a chair, sobbing. What happens now? Now? Now you get to live with the consequences of your choices, just like I've been living with them. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm so sorry. I looked at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, and felt something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. I know you are, Sarah. But sorry doesn't fix this. Sorry doesn't give me back 12 years of being treated like I wasn't good enough. Sorry doesn't erase 6 months of lies and betrayal. I walked toward the stairs, then turned back. Kevin got what he wanted. He convinced you that you married beneath your station. Congratulations to both of you. Now you're free to find someone more worthy of the Mitchell family standards. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Sarah moved in with Kevin temporarily, then found a small apartment across town. Victor left town entirely after his wife took him for everything in their divorce. Mike and Jennifer stopped acknowledging me when we passed on the street. Emma chose to live with me. Dad, she said, I'm proud of you for finally standing up for yourself. Mom was wrong, and so was Uncle Kevin. I kept the house, got a promotion at work, and started dating a teacher named Lisa who thinks fixing computers is fascinating and never once suggested I should be ashamed of my profession. Last week, I ran into Kevin at the grocery store. He looked older, defeated. His dealerships were struggling after word got around about his family drama. Apparently, people don't like buying cars from someone whose sister destroys marriages. Dave, he said quietly, I want you to know that I'm sorry. About everything. I looked at him for a long moment, remembering 12 years of insults and condescension. Kevin, I said finally, I appreciate that, but some things can't be fixed with an apology. You spent 12 years trying to destroy my marriage, and you succeeded. The fact that it didn't turn out the way you expected doesn't make you sorry. It just makes you disappointed. I walked away, leaving him standing in the cereal aisle with his mouth open. That night, I sat on my back porch with a beer, watching Emma practice soccer in the yard. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah. I know you'll never forgive me, but I want you to know that losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. I deleted the message without responding. Some mistakes can't be undone, some betrayals can't be forgiven, and sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's living well without the people who tried to tear you down. I learned that the hard way, but I learned it.